So in this video, we wanted to go over what the procedure looked like for getting the floor into the van, as well as the process of cleaning, sanding, and gluing the composite panels to the aluminum exoskeleton. The process of actually getting the van out so that we could put the floor in involved just putting it in neutral, pulling it backwards. We just didn't want to be turning it on and off all the time. As far as getting the floor in, it was something that we thought we'd do maybe like 3 times max, and we ended up doing closer to 10 times. The panel weighed about 150 pounds, and it took at least 3 people to move it, ideally 4. And it was just a really annoying process. It was really easy to ding the panel or delaminate it, which we did do a couple of times. The process of actually gluing the floor in involved a hoist and 4 suction cups. We settled on this plan after going through a lot of other plans, and it ended up working out pretty well for us. Each suction cup was rated to about 240 pounds, so we were able to just lift the floor straight up and then put in these cargo bars that held the floor in place at the right height while we were able to clean and sand everything underneath. Cleaning and sanding the aluminum was a process that took maybe 2 or 3 hours. We used 80 grit sandpaper and made sure to sand everything in one direction so that as we were cleaning, we were wiping in the exact same direction to just really ensure that we didn't have any snags and that there was no residue of anything left on the aluminum. During this time, we also just as thoroughly cleaned the underside of the floor panel. It had been sanded previously so that we weren't having to sand it upside down, but we did need to clean it just to make sure it was just as clean and ready to go as the aluminum.
So we got the panel raised up with the hoist and have it sitting on the supports right now. We sanded the aluminum and are working on cleaning it right now. We also clean and sanded the panel. And next we're gonna put on the spacer material, which is 3M VHB tape. This is 2 millimeters thick we're using on the floor. And essentially we're just gonna lay that out in kind of little patches here and there just to get an even glue bead. So we applied all the tape onto the frame now. Didn't give too much thought into the placement, just try to do it somewhat even and make sure there's just enough to give the panel a consistent gap. Next, we're going to be using the Psycha 205 activator. Essentially, this just wipes on and then you have 2 hours until it's no longer active. So we have to get the glue down within 2 hours. And pretty sure I've already mentioned it, but for glue, we're using Corapop 225 in these sausage tubes. I have the electric caulk gun to apply it.
The process of actually gluing the panel down ended up being a lot more stressful than we thought it would. We only had about 15 minutes and we just barely made it. I think we went through about 3 to 4 tubes of glue. Once we laid the glue bead down, we just reattached the suction cups and made sure that they were really on there. Very carefully pulled out the cargo bars and then lowered the floor onto the glue. Once the floor was finally down, we just grabbed essentially everything that we had in our backyard, as you can see, and put it on top to weigh it down. We also used one of the cargo bars to push a little flange of panel that was sticking out behind the passenger seat so that it was fully flush with the cab. So that was the process of getting the floor in. In the next video, we'll be going over the process of getting the walls in.